Now, Raptors fans might have ended the game off a little sour, a little on edge, based on the fact that the Raptors had some key injuries tonight, starting off with Marc Gasol with the hamstring injury, at least from what it looked like in the first half. And he was running back on defense, if we were talking about the exact play it happened. And he called it right away, and he asked for the timeout, and he walked off with Kyle Lowry into the locker room. And then, unfortunately, Norman Powell in the second half, towards the end of the game, hurt his shoulder off of a Blake Griffin screen, and he's out right now. And it's unfortunate because the Raptors were about to get healthy again. Fred VanVleet was just maybe a game or two from coming back, and Patrick McCaw's back. Everyone that's really part of the rotation is back, but this is what the season is about. This happens to a lot of teams. This happened to us last season. Probably not as significant as it is right now, but it is what it is, and we got to work through it. Nick Nurse is an amazing coach. He showed it in the finals and throughout all of the playoffs last season, and this is going to test him a little bit more, but it is what it is, and we'll get through it. This is the Airborne Podcast. I'm your host, Ajith, and we're going to break down this game for you. It wasn't really much of a, it is a grudge game because Dwayne Casey is on the other side, and he was the coach of the year that we fired at the time. And, for him, this hasn't been a good 2 years since he left the Raptors because this team has been trash. They fortunately made the playoffs last season, but they got swept by the Milwaukee Bucks, who we beat in 6 games to get to the finals. So Dwayne Casey still, he can sit there and say that he's not salty about any of this, but come on, when you get fired by your former employee, by your former, job, and you want to get back at them, you're going to take full advantage, right? So Dwayne Casey last year, you saw when he won that first game against the Raptors, he got all excited, jumping all over the court. Even the players were kissing him, hugging him. And, he's going to play it like it's nothing right now. But he's looking at every opportunity to beat the Raptors. And unfortunately, he's 0-2 this season. And he had all the ish to talk last season because he was 3-0, right? So he had nothing really bad to say, other than the one thing he said about the Raptors, where he said, "Oh, that team is really good, but they don't got that championship mentality, and they can't look up in the rafters and see all those banners to motivate them." Well, guess what, Dwayne Casey? I said this last season, and this team that you had under your wing for the longest time went and got that championship, and there is a banner to represent us now. So what's up? That's all we can say, right? Overall, this game at the beginning was very, I wouldn't say pathetic for the Detroit on defense, because the Pistons played some horrible defense at the beginning. OG Anunoby had like 5 drives to get like 10 easy points to start the game. And, you saw the defense. It's horrible. They have a bunch of unknown players. Blake Griffin isn't the same player anymore. You could clearly see it. His lateral quickness is nowhere near where it was before. It's subpar. Drummond, he's a solid player, but he ain't going to be a threat on the three-point range. Marc Gasol wasn't there, unfortunately, so it made it easier for him to play in the post. Serge Ibaka can shoot threes, and he had a big game, but he's not a threat from the three-point line like he is from mid-range. So it's easier for their defense to pick up, those big men that are on our team. And our team really got thin because our 2 biggest players are Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka, right? And after that, who do we have? We have Chris Boucher, and that's it. Dewan Hernandez, but he's not even playing. And Rondé Hollis Jefferson got some good minutes. He put in some work in that game. And I'm proud of what he did tonight because he didn't play the last game. And OG Anunoby was the highlight of this game. To start it off, Pascal Siakam picked it up. Lowry had a triple-double. God bless Kyle Lowry's soul. You know, this was his 13th triple-double, I think, in Raptors franchise history. And it was amazing to see because he picked it up without Fred VanVleet there. And this was a game that looked like it wasn't going in the Raptors' favors at the beginning. It didn't look like it was in the Raptors' favor in the beginning. And it looked like Detroit had every opportunity to take it because they were such a force in the post. With Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, it did look like we were going to have a hard time, but we figured out a way to make that not seem like a factor. I'm going to get into the stats right now, and I'm gonna figure out exactly how everything went down. I watched the complete game. I saw it, but there were parts of the game in the first half that pissed me off. And the turnovers that the Raptors had in the first half, it wasn't much, but it was not anything like the Raptors were doing in the past two games. And that's what we need to figure out. There's a consistency that we need, whether it's against subpar 500 teams or teams that are over 500, but we need to figure that balance. And Pascal Siakam, you know, he's showing off against those teams that are under 500, but we need that consistency from him too, where he can go off against those high-end teams with those crazy-ass defenses. Like, we need that from him if he wants to be that consistent number one option, right? He's learning, so we're not going to get that mad at him for that. But to start things off in this first quarter, Toronto was going back and forth with Detroit, but they ended up winning the quarter 30-29. In the second quarter, they did win again, and they scored 40 points versus the Detroit's Pistons 35. Third quarter, we outscored them again 26-15, and in the fourth quarter, they outscored us 20-16. All in all, we won the quarters that mattered the most because when it came to the fourth quarter, when the game was out of reach, you know, they were the team that was trying to crawl back into the game, right? So that fourth quarter, they did put up more points, but at the end of the day, it did not matter because the Raptors did what they had to do to win the game. And this was in Detroit. It was a very significant road win that we needed. And based on what happened last season when Dwayne Casey came back to Toronto and won one and then 1-2 in Detroit and they swept us last season, we needed this. This was the only flaw in the season that we had to have like a perfect season last year. Because Dwayne Casey, we fired, DeRozan got let go and traded to another team. And we could have swept them, but we didn't because DeRozan went off that first game in San Antonio. But, you know, losing to Dwayne Casey as a former head coach for the Toronto Raptors 0-3 and then being tied in the series 1-1 and them, like DeRozan smacking us that first game on January 3rd. And I remember this specifically because it was on my birthday, for God's sakes. So imagine me waiting to celebrate that Raptors game on my birthday, hoping that Kawhi Leonard and the Raptors would smack the hell out of the San Antonio Spurs. And then watching them, they got beat down by like 20, 30 points. Trust me, I will never forget that. And that's why I'm going so hard at it right now. I'm going to get into the personal stats right now. The individual stats, sorry. Pascal Siakam, in 35 minutes, had 26 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 10 of 23 from the field, no free throw attempts, and 6 of 11 from the three-point line. Holy hell. Wait, was that his season high? 6 threes in a game? With 1 steal, 4 blocks, 2 turnovers? God bless you, Siakam. That's the type of game you need to bring every night. Not just against mediocre teams, but against teams that actually matter. We're talking about the Miami Heats of the world. We're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers of the world. We're talking about the Milwaukee Bucks of the world. We're talking about the Indiana Pacers of the world. And we're talking about the Boston Celtics of the world. You need to bring this every night, bro. You want the smoke? You need to bring it every night. That's a fact. OG Anunoby came out today, was fantastic. 35 minutes, 19 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 7 of 12 from the field, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, and 2 of 5 from the three-point line, with 0 steals, 1 block, 2 turnovers. Marc Gasol unfortunately went down, like I said, with the hamstring injury. 8 minutes, 0 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists, 0-1 from the field, 0-0 from the free throw line. Didn't have any attempts, and 0-1 from the three-point line with 2 steals and no blocks, no turnovers. Kyle Lowry, my boy Kyle Lowry, came through with it tonight. Put up the big boy numbers. 39 minutes, 20 points, 10 rebounds, 10 assists, 5 of 17 from the field goal, from the field, 7 of 8 from the free throw line, 3 of 6 from 3, 2 steals, 1 block, 3 turnovers. And Norman Powell, 33 minutes, did not have his game on the hot streak continue. He had 9 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 of 7 from the field, 4 of 4 from the free throw line, 1 of 4 from 3. And he had 2 turnovers, no blocks, no steals. He was not that impact player he was for the past maybe 8 games or so. It is what it is. I mean, players have their moments. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to, flourish tonight, and he got hit with that nasty injury. We don't know how severe it is, but we'll get some updates on that, and we'll get back to it on the next podcast. Ibaka, perfect tonight. He stepped up when Marc Gasol went down. He put up those all-star numbers tonight. He put up, in 31 minutes, 25 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists, 10 of 18 from the field, very efficient, 4 of 5 from the free throw line, 1 of 4 from the three-point line with 1 steal, no blocks, no turnovers. McCaw, he doesn't put up those kind of numbers, but the way he plays on the floor, you can't measure that on the stat line. And he had 27 minutes, 2 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 of 3 from the field, no free throws, and he took 2 shots from the three-point line but did not connect. And he had no blocks, no steals, no turnovers. Rondé, 13 minutes only, 5 points, 3 assists. 5 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 2 of 4 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, and no 3-point attempts, but he had 3 steals. My man is always tenacious on the defensive end. The tenacity is on another level. When he gets the minutes and he gets the right matchup, he will kill anyone on the defensive end. Terrence Davis, 12 minutes, 4 points, did get a possession there where it really pissed me off. And I know every Raptor fan is going to agree with this. But he went up for a layup or a block, whatever you want to call it. But Drummond got him full hand with the foul. And the ref did not call it. They were calling so many soft technicals, and they were not calling any fouls in that game. And it seemed like they were favoring the Detroit Pistons. I don't know if Dwayne Casey might have paid them off a little bit. I'm not sure, but it did seem like they weren't calling a lot of calls for the Raptors. I want to get into the actual full details of the overall game for the team, but it did seem like we didn't get any calls. Chris Boucher, and I know it might sound biased because I'm a Raptors fan, but I honestly am being dead serious. I don't think we got that many calls like we should have. Chris Boucher, 6 minutes, 2 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists. 0 of 2 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line, and 0 of 1 from the three-point line. And Terrence Davis, like I said, 12 minutes, 4 points, 0 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 of 4 from the field, no free throw attempts, 0-1 from the 3-point line, and 2 turnovers. Detroit Pistons, Blake Griffin, 32 minutes. 15 points, 2 rebounds, 4 assists. This man is clearly pissing me off from my fantasy draft. I regret picking him. I thought he was going to have some career highs after last season. I always say this in I've been saying this in the last 2 podcasts, and it's really bothering me, and I really want to drop this guy. I'm being dead ass right now, but we'll see how it goes. There's a chance I might. The only thing I'm scared about is someone else going to pick him up and he's going to start doing some crazy stuff. Drummond, 22, 18, 37 minutes, 0 assists. He had 22 points, 18 rebounds, 9 of 16 from the field, 4 of 7 from the free throw line, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 4 turnovers. And it's crazy because I felt like when Marc Gasol went out, he was going to get like a 30-30 game. That was my honest opinion. I thought he was. Derrick Rose, 28 minutes, 16 points, 4 assists, 16 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 8 of 17 from the field. He had 1 attempt from the free throw line he missed, and he was 0 for 4 from the 3-point line. He had 1 block, 1 turnover. Bruce Brown, who was a starting point guard tonight, he had 12 points in 20 minutes with 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 5 of 8 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, and 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. So 1 of 2 from the free throw line and 1 of 2 from the 3-point line. I hope you guys got that. With 4 turnovers. Luke Kennard, 32 minutes. He's one of their better players, but he did not go off tonight. 7 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 of 5 from the field goal from the field, and 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 2 of 4 from the 3-point line. He seemed like he was going to go off, but did not work out for him. Langston Galloway, 22 minutes, 6 points, 4 rebounds, no assists, 2 of 7 from the field, 1 of 2 from the free throw line, 1 of 6 from the 3-point line, 4 steals, wow, that's crazy, and 1 turnover. Everyone else was pretty irrelevant, but all in all, the Raptors pulled through. They had an amazing game, and aside from the fact that we got barred with a bunch of injuries, which hopefully, fingers crossed, does not linger on for a long time, and especially with Van Vliet coming back, we want our full team, right? We don't have a superstar player. We need that. We need our whole team. Like, it's a collective unit, and we need them all to be there so that we can make this work. We have a tough schedule coming up in the next, going to New Year's. I know we've had 11 games, 16 games at home this month, but our depth on the center power forward position is not that deep, and we need to figure that out. Another thing I wanted to say before this podcast ended was New York Knicks have been putting out a lot of stuff about Masai. You know, they want to put that news out there that Masai, like, they want him, they're obsessed with him, he's a chosen one. Listen, he wants nothing to do with your franchise, and I know that he has a 2-year contract left, and everyone's skeptical, thinking that we never offered him that contract. Well, not us, but MSLE. What am I saying? Sorry. I'm speaking Sinhalese right now. MLSE. They have 2 years left on that contract for Masai, and he has everything he wants here, right? Like, he's not arguing. He's not upset. This is perfect for him. New York, I'm not going to lie, New York would be a perfect city for him, but the problem is that franchise is trash. It's ass. It's BS, whatever you want to call it. And Masai's not going anywhere. He's with the Raptors. He loves Toronto. You can go back and see an interview where he said that New York is trash. He hates New York, and it's a fact. He put it out there. I'm telling you guys. If you guys are listening to this podcast and you're a fan of this, this podcast, go check it out. I promise you he said that before. That's all I want to end it off on that note. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If you guys enjoyed it, you know what to do. Leave that like, subscribe to the channel, support your boy, show your boy some love. I'm doing this for you guys, and hope you all have an amazing day. And hope y'all tune in for the next podcast episode. But till then, stay blessed, stay woke, and peace!